This is based upon his political motives.
Tell everybody how much you love A10 News Media Group.
A10 News Media Group. I love them because they got the message to sports Negro up in California for burning them jockeys from under the bridge and sending them to Flint because nobody recognizes the dark man no more. They rather to burn them out and talk about NRA, Negro racket ass, and you ain't getting no.
Yes, I had a cocktail.
Now you're live.
Hello, everyone, and we're going to give you all a few minutes to come on. I'm glad to see you all were waiting for us. I see. So just give us
He got the 41 quick.
Right, give us a few minutes to just share.
They saw Dennis and shit. Let's go and get him there.
Let's go on and get it.
Dennis had vowed never to return.
Did he? We promise not to keep you long.
No.
I mean, I said it to myself.
I'm still waiting on the podcast. Me and Dennis supposed to do that. He
The
just
baby old boy.
facts.
Tune into our daily podcast.
I'm trying to tell you, but see, the name was gonna get them. You know, the baby old boys. That was to bring people in. Then when they got here, they're gonna see how serious we were.
Oh, see, that's you. That's Tanya. That's Tanya.
They see how serious we
I'm
were.
trying to share.
They're gonna see how serious we is and stuff, and they're gonna be like, you know what, they ain't with the gang, you know. But
Okay.
I'm getting my little share game where we can share this to everybody.
As I can.
I don't want everybody to be laughing at us.
This is the time where when you're on the phone, I don't miss not, having my nails done. Because I will go like 8 weeks, but I get my nails done.
Oh my God.
I don't have time to sit in the chair like that.
Me too.
Well,
I be sitting in the chair thinking, you know what I could be doing. I don't have the patience.
I put this everywhere that they don't like us at.
Well, that's good. Everybody should be watching it.
That's what I do. I go right to who hate us and be like, yeah, there you go. I'll put us right up in there. If they say they hate us, that means we need to be over there.
Well, we must be doing something right. Shout out to A10 News Media Group and the greatest producer in the world. We call him Spacely Sprockets around here, but this afternoon he's just better known as Mick.
Help.
Was you sending out an SOS?
If y'all see me wink, I'm up under pressure.
That's it.
Facts.
That's your safe word.
Facts. When I say facts, get the call up
When he
here.
say facts, we know we in trouble. Listen, I want to thank all of you for tuning in with us for a special edition of The Bump. This is something that we don't want to let die. We have to stay on top of this within our community. This has to stop. It's gone on long enough. I said, who could best tell the story of council and everything that's been going on but council people themselves. You listen to me and Mickey day in and day out, but we had to have Councilwoman Burns on here from the 6th Ward, and we had to snatch and get Councilman Dennis Pfeiffer out of the 8th Ward. The two people that I felt last night, the biggest impact in the room, the focus were on the both of them. We woke up to a series of officials putting out statements this morning, everything from racial rhetoric, decorum, keeping our community safe. We need better leadership. And it's important for me to always dig a little deeper and see what someone else has to say. Councilwoman Burns, Councilman Pfeiffer, whoever wants to lead off, let the people know what your recount of was last night and how it's making you feel right now today?
First of all, I agree with Trevor. I need a beer.
I need tequila.
Green room
And
and
scotch.
snacks that are available 8-10 media. Stuff.
Oh,
Just saying.
God. Oh,
Just
my
saying.
God.
He won't be invited back.
No. You're here on the whim in a prayer.
So you're telling me there's a prayer.
Right.
You know, it was kind of surreal last night
Mhm.
as everything was unfolding, and then you're looking or you're expecting the worst, and you don't know what's going to happen. But more importantly, after the fact, and you start rehashing everything in your head,
Mhm.
and going through certain moments, and then the pieces of the puzzle just start to drop in. You'd be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. You know, and during this whole recollection, I recanted back to that moment when we were at the county building and Judy allegedly went back to get her gun. And I try to compare that moment to last night. And it's apples and oranges, not even close. And at some point, Judy told me last night she didn't have her gun because it was too heavy. She couldn't carry it no more. And then after the fact, I'm going through all that in my head, and I'm like, well, the calmness of her, Candace, Liddell,
Disturbing.
the calmness of what happened last night, and knowing that what happened in the county building when Judy thought, or she allegedly went to go get her gun or whatever, to that night, it's like something ain't right. And then you start hearing all the other stuff, and every piece falls into place that last night was a setup.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You know, and I still process everything that happened, and still, I'm seeing what happened on everybody's stream and everybody's video, and what I seen with my own eyes, and it's disturbing beyond any imagination. If you weren't there, and then you could see the nuances of certain council people, the way they acted, and the actual true chaos of what was happening, it was 100% a setup.
Absolutely agree.
I don't know what the end game was, other than to cause disturbance and maybe get people hurt. But I don't know what the end game was and why they had targets up for people. I just don't get it. But I don't know what you think, Tanya.
I think we were targeted. I know we were. I think you and I, Jerry, and even now Jonathan, have stood on the right side of what should be done for the city and the residents. And that when you expose corruption, they did not want the corruption to be exposed.
You motherfucker.
It was orchestrated, in my opinion, by Liddell Lewis and Candace Michelle. It was a conspiracy to incite a riot, and they were comfortable with it. As I asked Candace several times, what are you going to do about this? She wouldn't even respond. It's kind of like, we're going to let it all play out, basically, was her look. They were unbothered by the violence. When they told Gladys was sitting in the front, because the first person that came in that was sitting there, she had the two-piece tan outfit on with the braids. And then you had the one who came with like the salt and pepper hair. And as she came in, she was very vocal and was cussing out everybody who spoke. She was rude, calling people bitches and fuck you, bitch. And I mean, there was no decorum. When we know that people with Liddell in them, if you clap or cough, or if you do this, not even talk or hold a sign, you're thrown out.
Right.
Within 1 minute, probably less than a minute, you get 2 warnings and you're asked to be removed, as they have continuously weaponized the police against the residents.
Absolutely.
So when I saw Officer Villarreal leave, because he keeps his head like on the swivel. And there was one officer, and I always keep my head on the swivel. Everybody knows I don't go nowhere without my firearm. That's just the way it is. I don't care where you go. Where I go, I'm gonna have it. And each day I'm trying to make it home like I want everybody else to make it home. Simple as that. But I'm a responsible gun owner. And last night reinforced why, which I should not have to, as an elected official, make sure I carry a firearm to protect myself when people are coming up to me, people who work for the city, saying they're threatening your life. They're saying they're going to get you. I've never been in a situation, and these are adults. You can argue and debate ideas, but this is at no point what you do. So when we talk about elected officials who people and residents, because let's say the residents should, number one, should be kept safe. They just voted the end of September to change and strengthen the disorderly conduct. I didn't approve it because I thought it was ridiculous, because they wanted to throw out audience members, and there was so many subjective pieces to it that, what would be considered a threat. Well, I'm glad the 5 of them passed it, because we're going to use that against the mob that came there and Liddell and them, because they were in violation of the disorderly conduct, because they have a responsibility to follow it. They were derelict in their duty. They did not follow the ordinance that they wrote to throw the residents out.
Right.
And so I could care less what happened to them at this point. Liddell and Candace are a disgrace. They're a disgrace for this community. Liddell should resign. Candace should resign. Shameful is not even the word, because you put people's lives. There was a lady that was in her 80s, was back in the back.
Yeah.
She couldn't even, and trying to shuffle people out. The administration headed to that back door to go out. They were like, Tonya, you need to get back here. You need to go. And you know who also went back there? Candace.
Wow.
And had her foot up against the door. She wasn't going to let people, she was holding the door and then not let, she was to apply pressure to the door. So it got so out of hand that she was scared, but she was not scared enough. When I asked her, you need to enforce, you need to warn her. I said, what are you going to do? I said, you need to enact a disorderly conduct. At every meeting, they don't just say there's disorderly conduct and move on. They read it to let everybody know, because they will arrest the residents.
Yes.
Over 50 plus people have been put out of those council chambers every single meeting. She refused to enforce it. She refused to rule on the points of order. They knowingly and willingly violated every rule and even the ordinances that they voted for. So those are just to arrest the public and the people they don't like. It's not the people that were there. It was a threat. It was a hostile environment.
The most insurrectionist day in certainly our term, the only person that got a warning was our.
He did. And every meeting they're attacking him. So again, as they orchestrated this act of violence, they conspired to incite violence. We literally had an insurrection in the city Flint council chambers.
Right.
And that's what it was, with the mob.
That little man downstairs better call them an insurrectionist.
That part, because that's what they did. The part that he is spinning this and Liddell's spinning this, it pissed me off, because to say Beverly Biggs and her daughter were the problem, absolutely not. Because number one, it's legal to carry a firearm. The mayor carries 2 firearms. You know that.
Yes, I do.
He carries 2. So why should he be exempt from carrying firearms and the public can't? The problem wasn't the firearm, because the physical threat of violence was there, that they would culminate and beat somebody to death.
I would say the firearm probably stopped some more violence.
The firearm stopped it. Now I was told that, and when she pulled it out, they surrounded Beverly, a 65-year-old great-grandmother. A 65-year-old great-grandmother, 9 to 12 people surrounded her. Her daughter had no other choice but to defend her life and her mother's life, because that entire meeting, Candace and Liddell allowed members of the audience and council members to be called bitches, fuck you, you retarded, you're going to get fucked up. They allowed all that to happen. Nobody was put out.
Did you guys pick up all those F-bombs from your
I think they
your
were too
broadcast
far.
on the back?
No, we had too many F-bombs going off back there in the back.
Yeah, they were back there.
They were sitting like in
row in front of us.
Yes, I'm saying, did your guys' camera pick
Oh,
that up?
we caught a lot
Okay.
of stuff, and we've been getting videos sent to us from people all around the country.
Wow.
Very disturbing to hear on one of the videos. You know, we played this morning. We were after Tanya Burns.
Yeah.
You sitting there last night, and Liddell, you could see her. You could see her. You could hear her pouring gasoline on a
Mhm.
burning fire, saying, "My colleague in the Eighth Ward said that someone had stuck his hand, excuse me, up Council Murphy's butt, and he was a puppet."
Mhm.
Just to, it was so disturbing.
She gaslit this. She gassed that grieving family up. She gassed that grieving and gaslit them to use it as a weapon. What she did was
She was trying to incite.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And what she did was took their grief and used it as a tool or a bullet to shoot at the people she didn't like. It has
Right.
nothing to do with it.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely
right. It
right.
had nothing to do with it. And because she's such an evil, despicable, diabolical individual, she didn't care. She didn't care about the safety of the residents. She didn't care about the safety of her colleagues. She didn't care about anything but herself. She never moved out her seat. And there were so many people were in the fire stairwell. People were out in the hallway. People were all over. Chrisette, who sits behind her, who works for the city, got scared, got up and ran. And guess what Liddell did? She sat there like this.
Because she knew what they were there for.
Yeah.
She knew that they were not coming after her.
She never moved.
Emily Dorr, and it was another
Yeah.
young man that worked for the city of
Mhm.
Flint. They
Mhm.
took off running down
Towards the back.
The
Right.
CFO,
Yeah.
Phil, you had made this morning. Where was Philip Moore? He headed down there because when they had said you need to go, because they had been mentioning my name. And by the way, it's a felony. I'm going to prosecute. I'm gonna make sure the prosecutor filing a police report. I'm not gonna play with them. I'm not gonna play with them. And may they get everything they get, which is a felony, and they allowed Liddell to gas them up. And this is what she's trying to do. They did it. I didn't do it. So she's moving with clean hands.
Mhm.
They
Absolutely.
allowed her to gas them up. And she said, I didn't tell them to do it.
I
They're
just
going to
told
get
them
in
to
trouble.
come. Right.
Yep. I'm not. And she knew.
They're going to get a rap because of her.
They absolutely don't get a rap because of her. Because this has already been talked about. I have talked to Michigan State Police. I've talked to Chief Green, and I'm done. I mean, my concern is the people. You know, you can debate healthy ideas, and even me and Quincy at times have had some very healthy debate. He told me I never promised for calling you a name, and that's fine. But I like you go through different stages. But I've had to throw Quincy lifelines before when they was eating him up, and it,
So did.
Mhm.
So did.
and then when he started figuring out that they were lying to him
Mhm.
about moving that money around. And there's one thing the last thing was that Sean Hart was there last night.
And
Because
Bob Dance.
yeah, because we had asked him to come back because it was a 240 something thousand, and that was the one thing that I had figured out with Emily Dorr and the CFO, the deputy CFO, because the CFO didn't really know, and so the deputy CFO
knows
said
that.
if we moved the money around, it was okay. And Quincy was actually communicating when he was in the hospital. I had texted him get better, and he sent me I sent him a greeting card because despite our political views, I didn't want anything to happen to any of my colleagues. You don't want that part. I'm not that evil of a person. Today, well, maybe this morning I was.
I mean, but
But-
Tanya, we all have our
Right,
moments. We all
absolutely.
be evil. Oh, I'm not gonna like your vote, but we're
Right,
not about to sit
right.
up there and fight.
Absolutely. No,
We're
not
not-
fight. They wanted to kill.
Kill, no.
There's a
no,
right.
no. It's a big
Right.
difference.
And I was really afraid that the climate in that room, as I'm looking out and I'm watching, and when Officer Villarreal had left, we had one officer, and I'm watching the shaking of the legs and people's their body language. And so I got up from my seat and I went and talked to the officer. I said, you need to get some more help. And so when I told him that, I said, you're going to have a problem. You won't be able to handle this, because they were coming in by twos and threes.
Mhm.
And he said, well, who are the people? And my back was turned to him. And because my mind takes a mental picture and I'm describing what they look like with their hair and what they're wearing, because I'm listening to every time somebody talk, they are cussing and acting ignorant. And they kept doing it. And so I had got up and talked to him, and he said, okay. And 30 minutes later, we hadn't seen anybody. So they were waiting. I don't know if the call was because I want to know. Were they waiting for someone to be assaulted to
Right,
happen?
right.
Because they did not do anything preventative. He needed help. You could see it was going to happen. And so when I went to walk back out, Sister Audrey Muhammad, she said, "You just went and talked to him and told him." I said, "Yes." She said, "I did too. That's why I'm sitting over here at the window." She says, and she's telling, she said, "Well, you know, who they gonna go after?" And they were talking about, you know, they coming after you, they coming after Bev. And I said, "Well, I'm gonna go tell Bev." And so then I had text Stephanie. I said, "You need to get Carol too." I said, "And you need to make sure y'all need to move to the other side. Leave everybody, leave them over there by themselves." I said, "And I need you, Stephanie, to go tell Beverly." And Bev said to me, and so she walked up. You'll see her walking up with Angie. And she said to me, she said, "I'm okay." I said, "No, you let me know you good." I said, "Because I need to see you." She said, "I want you to know I'm good. Don't worry about it. I want you to do what you need to do. I'm taking care. I'm good." I said, and I grabbed her hand. And to hear Bev, because Bev, her voice, it went all the way down because y'all were hearing that. I didn't know because it was stuff over here, stuff back there. They always talk during our meetings. It's always Candace does not shut up.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Like,
y'all, and so she doesn't shut up. And so when Beverly walked up there and she says, "I'm good," and she said, "You good?" I said, "I'm good." I said, "I want you to be okay." She said, "I'm okay." Then you just start after that break, you could hear them kind of like when I walked over there, because I went over there to talk, they kind of shut it down. I didn't hear them say like my name when I was over there. I did not. But then other people sitting over there had told me, and there were city people who heard them. They heard them. And so after that break, I don't know if the attention they were saying she'll never get in that seat. She'll never get in that seat. And
my uncle's seat is what I kept hearing.
yeah,
She's not going to
yeah,
be in my uncle's
yeah,
seat.
yeah. And it never made it to the part of us doing even the interviews.
Right.
And literally, it was hell. All hell broke out. And I don't even know how many, because you had it in the hallway, you had it in the back of council chambers, you had it on the right of council chambers.
The administration was going different ways.
You had in the middle of the aisle, and it was. And I'm saying you need to call someone. Call 911. So 6:39, I called 911.
That makes no sense
Because they refused.
No
the
sense.
Flint City Council president refused to call 911, and so did Candace, the vice president. They need to resign. They failed to keep the public safe. That's what you're elected to. That's the mere thing. What can I do to keep the public safe? They didn't do that. She refused to do it. So at 6:39, I called 911 and made the call. That's my call.
I see it.
And told them we need to get somebody here. Because then they were still out there and they were saying, "You need to go downstairs, you need to go." And Candace was at that door on the other side. But they didn't create this mess. She could have diffused it by number one, calling them out, putting them out. Like they put everybody else out. You get put out for everything up in city council chambers.
You do.
And so the danger was there. I don't even know. I haven't looked at everybody's videos because there's so much videos.
It's a lot floating around out
It's
there.
a lot. I didn't go to bed till about 6:00 this morning. I had to be back up at 8 because I don't know how to process that as adults. You had a mob of people being gaslit by two people who were elected, and then and knowingly that those people are going to take, as Liddell gaslit them. Liddell, I'm gonna say Judy too, because Judy was too content for me. That was weird.
She came over there and spoke to him. She actually.
They were up there huddled all together. Candace, Liddell, and Leon was over there. He was leaning in. They were all over there together as they walked up to the front talking to them. And they never stopped them. Who was ever allowed to come to council chambers and call people bitches, fuck you, you ain't shit? When?
They can hear us in the back sneeze, but I was
That
surprised they couldn't hear her tell Miss Gladys that.
Oh, they heard.
And the girl was so like moving around towards Miss Gladys. And when she told her, she said, what did she tell her? Shut the fuck up.
Miss Gladys said she moved her. Miss Gladys, who
Or you'll get your ass beat.
she will
Yes.
be joining us Wednesday morning on the bump. She said that she moved her papers and she came and sat directly by her, like she knew
Sat in the seat right next to her.
who to go right after. Mickey, this is an extension of the bump. I know you got some questions.
Nobody wants to
for
hear from Mickey. Nobody wants to hear. And if nobody here heard my first I'm gonna say monologue talking about this, Davina over here didn't have my microphone plugged in.
What?
My bad.
Damn, you done got
together.
reduced to Davina, dog.
Hey,
Davina big.
listen, I got it together though.
One thing that I knew it was going to pop off last night is because when the young man said something to them and they followed him out into the hallway, and then the cop went after him or whatever. I think they went down the stairs.
They
or
went
what-
down the stairs. So you had people in the elevator,
The stairs,
and the front stairs, the back stairs. It was a riot. We had an insurrection in City Hall.
And what was crazy about it is for like 5 minutes that cop was gone, and then they came back into the chambers, and that's where the point there that I stood up, repositioned my gun, I was ready to go if something went down. I knew that at that point it was beyond control.
Yep.
And I think that's probably right when you called the cops, or
Yep.
you called them before that.
And I called Chief Green twice.
Wow, you called the chief.
I called Chief Green. I sure did. I called him the first time, and I had a text. And as soon as it was like right after I was sending the text, I was going to do the text. We had one of the fires burst. Well, the fights or issues. And so then I'm like, damn the text. And I called. And he was like, well, what's going on? I said, you need to get somebody here right now. This is a problem. You have one. So it's one officer here. You have one officer here. He said, okay, let me get on the phone. Let me get somebody. Then I called him back, and it was not nice. And I told him some cuss words.
I'm sure.
It was a lot of them. And he said, okay. They're not there. And then when I went over to walk, he said, okay, I'm getting somebody there. He said, I'm getting ready to head down there. And then as it was diffused, I walked over to the window, and you can see the cop cars. They came across. I mean, they was zooming with the lights on, across
No,
the
they
lawn.
drove across the lawn.
They drove across the line from the street, just boom, boom, boom. I mean, it was not only just the front, it was the side of City Hall. So City Hall was on Court Street and Saginaw Street, and actually, I don't even know the name of the little side street. 7th Street. There was officers. There was Michigan State Police, Sheriff's Department, Flint Police, U of M Police. It was so many cops. And so when they thought, so he I don't know if he ever made it. At that point, it was so many officers in there. But then Beverly had to get a ride home because they said two of the individuals were still down there waiting in their cars.
They waited. We seen them wait until we all got in cars. Their cars were still there.
Wow. So the officer, and I forget his name, and I appreciate him, and I'm bad with that one. I really do. But he said, he walked up to me, because one of the city workers said, you had a threat, get your shit and get out of here. And I'm thinking, okay, well, where's JWC? I knew Dennis was good because I can see Dennis from all over the room. He's taller than everybody. And Dennis, he carries his fire.
Where did JWC go?
She went down with us.
She did. She was with us.
She went down
She
the
went down
elevator
with
with
She
us.
was in-
Yeah,
we went down together.
Okay.
Oh, we wasn't leaving,
No,
JWC.
no, we weren't leaving her
Yeah,
by
we had
herself.
not
I
happening.
remember, everything was moving
Yeah.
so fast,
Yeah.
except for the police. Have you
Yeah.
ever seen police move that slow at a meeting before?
Well, so I mean, generally, there's nobody. Like the police department is there, but they're not there, right? They're out on the road, and so,
Right.
and so is Out County. So, I mean, relatively, they came fairly quick. I don't have a problem with the police in the response time.
I think because it was going on for so long during the meeting, and we saw how everything unfolded.
That's why we putting all the time
Yeah,
together.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, because we're watching it, and in the Black community, I don't even say wherever you have violence in the community. I'm not gonna say the Black community. You kind of know what stuff is at, and you can kind of sense the violence,
Mhm.
and it's like an inherent sense that I feel I have, and I know you have. And we know Mickey got.
We know it was something about to go down.
Right, you know. And that room,
you
reading
knew,
that room.
I knew something was going to go down when that young lady in the front row with this, you say salt and pepper, like when she was up there in battling with Gladys or like, and then
I was worried about Gladys.
and then
Miss Gladys said she moved to the other side.
She did.
She said, "All right, protect."
Yeah.
All right,
Is that what she's?
Mm-hmm.
Because the city council president refused to do anything to her. She refused to do it.
now what was that comment? Did Judy call her out too? And she said, and then Candace said, "I'm glad you could hear Judy." What was that?
I remember when she said something like that. I'm glad you can hear.
Did Judy call her out in the front row?
Yeah.
Oh shit! You missed that.
So I think when we look at, so basically the people who didn't agree, you know, I don't know how you grieve. Imagine if May's family had to come up. You know, come on. You know, you got two people who have unfortunately passed away sitting next to Liddell. You know, her energy is just bad.
Oh, I never thought about that. That's
that's
you know, and she's sitting there pleased as whatever. And I don't think that the family of Quincy understands you can't threaten elected officials. And Liddell is getting them to do her dirty work.
Yeah. And that's one of the points that I don't necessarily blame the young ladies that were there last night, or I'm not really mad at them because they're probably not engaged in what everything that's going on, and they're sitting around the table or whatever, and they hear someone say, "Oh, these people did him wrong, this, and this." Right. So she's just dumping flame on. They don't know. Like it's natural instinct. I mean, like I go back to that. There's a movie. I can't remember what it is. I think it was with Ben Affleck. They go up and they say to somebody, "We got to hurt somebody, buddy, whatever else." And they say, "Whose car are we taking?" Like it was that mentality last night, and that's what Liddell and Candace really thrive on, is the uninformed person, and that's who they gaslight, and that's who they try to swindle and whatever else to get on their side. It's the uninformed voter, the uninformed person that truly, that's the only people that they have their ear from, and that's why they're having so much backlash in the community. The ones that are paying attention know how corrupt and evil they are.
Right, which this newfound love for the grocery store, because didn't Councilman Mays try to get them $600,000, and they said
hypocrites to the day is long. I swear to God.
Dennis, you must not care about the North Side. I'm like, this wasn't even a full year ago, and they voted no to give money to
everything
the
I
store.
say. It's a race bait now. It's like,
I got your back.
You're like,
I got your back.
You can hate me, whatever else, but if you can't argue the issue and you say, if I say the sky is blue, like, you hate the North Side, you hate black people. Like, that's what they're going to say.
It's coming from Mayor Neely.
Oh, 100%.
And we look at that. How many people watch his podcast?
Coordinated.
2 people. And I'm being generous.
Yeah. If 810 didn't clip that, ain't nobody ever seen that shit.
I had not seen, because I don't watch it because he doesn't.
Not this 810, the 18.
810 Flint.
Yeah.
If
they didn't clip it and make that little thing.
Absolutely. But when you hear him, the stuttering, and as he gaslit this community about you, misinforming them and lying.
That's what happened. I'm so glad you brought that up. What happened this weekend on his podcast? I never watched it.
He lied.
He literally said, I don't know what it was verbatim, but I was against the North Side and trying to keep the North Side down because I didn't support, or I wasn't going to support the trees or the bank.
I'm not supporting the bank.
But but he didn't call you out on it. He called me because
I did the first time.
He could throw the race card out.
Yeah.
And I never said I wasn't supporting the trees. I wanted to know how the program was going to be run.
I said I want everybody to get the same tree deal that Johnny Billings got, where they paid $0 and they got a $12 Cracker Barrel deal. A $12 Cracker Barrel meal got trees torn down.
sellout going for less and less these days.
Listen.
That's crazy to me.
You know, I don't think we can charge with the trees if you're giving them for free. And he met with the mayor, is what I'm told.
Who met?
Johnny Billingsley. So he met with him, talked to him. So my issue is, how do you charge residents if they're seniors? We know they have income. I don't want there needed some more work on the trees. Period. If we're going, the tree program is a good program, but it needs some more work.
And a lot of people would I think it would get a lot of involvement, and people would sign up for it. 100%.
Yeah.
Tell me how the motherfucker's going to be ran.
They didn't have that answer.
No. And Clyde sat up there and said, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. And that's why it stayed in committee. And then come out Saturday, I'm a racist because I didn't rubber stamp that motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here.
Say it, Dennis. And that Huntington Bank, where you have 3 people that they had to hire, they're not really making money. They claim that if you're going to pay, do a call and invest in like a system where if it's seniors don't want to come in, well, they can do it over the phone. You can pay consumers over the phone. Let seniors pay it over the phone.
Right.
You know, so you can do other ways. That building, when they asked for it, it was going to come out of ARPA initially. And we end up shooting that down because they were for that. The 5 were for that. And then they wanted to do the police fund. And I'm like, it's supposed to be a mini station. They had a whole homicide right across the street from it. Whole homicide right there at Canterbury. And the building doesn't even have cameras on, is what they said. So at $9,000 a month, it does not include utilities. It does not include overhead for workers. And then we look at, we no longer sell guns because that money that was like 500 something thousand was in that police fund was because Flint used to sell guns underneath Karen Weaver, and that money was in there. So that building will not be
under
sustainable.
Neely too, until the last time until he got caught.
Right, where he said they would.
Right back to us.
Yeah.
We go
Right,
back and buy
exactly.
them.
We
Here,
got
give
caught.
me my Draco back.
Right,
He said, we don't sell them,
We
we
don't.
destroy them.
right.
And then it come out, they do sell them.
Right. That was a lie. And so how do we sustain that building? And does it bring that much value to the city? And for me, I do not believe that not at that cost with 3 employees. So that's benefits, it's wages, it's utilities, it's the $9,000 a month rent. And why ain't you buying a building? I mean,
It sounds cheaper.
But-
it sounds
who
cheaper.
getting a kickback?
But if you look at it, it's not about the community. It's not about that. It was a shiny new token that, if you looked at it, every press conference he did since that one opened was up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the new building.
At the new building.
He wants him a new city hall. He said it. He said he wants a new city hall.
Well, we probably need a new mayor because this guy is a joke.
I do.
You know,
understand.
he comes here and divides this council. This is his fault. Now, what he should have did was teach Liddell to do her dirt a little bit better. Let people do your dirt for you and don't get caught.
Like him.
Like him.
Like him.
Like him.
Like him.
She's not good at her own cleanup.
Oh,
So she is not, what's the woman? The clean up woman?
And that's why I'm kind of surprised that he hit me on Saturday.
He hit you. And
That's kind of like, because usually he's with his Saturday morning
Rhetoric.
thing.
Oh, okay.
That's why he went after me. I was kind of surprised that he finally, after all this time, that he has to do it himself because what they've put on the floor ain't working. No more.
Well, that's when we figured out Monday on the bump, like what the play was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like they coming after Dennis first.
Yeah.
They coming in after you with the racism.
It was so part of the script. And soon as I mentioned that they wanted to put somebody in the seat to sell the park, she blew a head gasket.
she
blew a
did.
head
She
gasket.
was like,
And she didn't deny one word of what I said. She just went back to the monkey comment and everything else, trying to gaslight.
So was that not supposed to get out that they want to sell Oak Park?
Well, it wasn't supposed to get out that they are.
It's a deal bundle.
it's been a deal.
Well, it's been in the works, but they didn't want it to get out that 3 days after Quincy was buried, they needed to get seat when they've still got 2+ weeks before that 30 days.
Well, they kind of got to allocate all of the ARPA money to the people they needed to go to and to buy.
Ain't nobody
couple
giving any
months.
shits about that because that money is already in the general fund. They don't need to allocate it. It's already been allocated.
Well, they gotta reallocate
No, they
it
don't.
again
No, they
and
don't.
change words.
No, they don't. If not one dime doesn't get reallocated, that stays in the general fund as lost revenue.
Mhm.
The city
Yes.
don't lose a dime.
Really?
Yes, no, don't believe the smoke and the mirrors. It has to be reallocated. It's already been allocated. It's in the general fund. And like I said, every dollar that they reallocate is just to get votes, is just to pay off folks because, they're doing it under the guise of ARPA, but none of the programs that they're putting it in is really going to see the residents. It's not going to.
Right. I
So,
agree.
it's bullshit. We got to do it by the end of the year. No, it's because people are getting money again for this nanograph that wants to buy the park.
Mhm. The
Okay,
275.
that electric
Yeah, the
battery
electric
plant.
ECB.
That they're going to allegedly they're going to throw the 150 employees, which we would be lucky, absolutely win the lotto if 10% of those end up being city of Flint employees or residents. Like none of those people that are coming and going to work in there are going to be city of Flint
We're
residents.
talking about engineers, high level.
Yeah. It's
technicians.
a battery. It's a battery for electric cars or whatever else. So, I mean, everybody who has that knowledge or anything else, they don't live in Flint no more.
Absolutely agree.
So the janitors or whatever else is the only people that they're actually going to hire for the city of Flint residents. But they're going to say, oh, it's going to bring $150 full-time jobs, whatever. Oh, at a 0.5%, that's a fucking rounding error. 0.5% income tax, that's what the city's going to get. It's a rounding error.
Do you guys think that they're worried about losing their council leadership?
Oh,
position?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what.
damn.
Yeah,
Golly.
All right.
yeah, they are having a panic attack about that because one, they are drunk with power, and they became drunk with power at the onset. So they abuse their positions and their power, and they do it over at the dorms. We were over at the county and at the dome. I'm sorry, and you would see how they became aggressive, and I'm like, who takes power like that?
It's people who have never had power before. They don't know how to handle it.
Exactly.
And this is what you get. You get
You like their new name?
What's that?
The leadership.
Leadership. Nobody knew what the hell that was last
I
night.
did, being facetious. I wanted everybody else to hear, and I wanted Davina to say it because she needs to understand we are all equally elected to our seats. They are not above, and Davina should not be allowing them to make a decision about election, who's going to be in that seat, as to who will be interviewed.
I promise you, Davina was forced to put all that stuff on, and
I believe, but she's gonna have to man up, woman up, and quit letting them run over her. Right. She's gonna have to stop that. Right, because Liddell and Candace, which are bullies, by the way, because they will try to bully you as they talk crazy. We just kind of tune her out.
She should know when they get done, they're gonna get rid of her.
She's underneath the threat. She's underneath the threat of getting rid of. They don't have the 5 votes, so Davina need to be following the rules right now. She don't want to flip the other vote that might have been holding. She don't, because with that, you messing with elections, and I met with leadership. Okay, well, that's something you bring to council. Right. You let us vote on how it's going to be done. Create an ordinance. You don't sit with them, the leadership, because they don't lead me. Their beliefs are not mine.
Do you believe the council leadership knew that they didn't print everything on the ballot?
Now I'm gonna tell you about that. Now I said the precinct 10, I believe they were using this their trump card. I believe they were using that just in case Beverly or Dumas got elected.
They can say
yep, we can't certify the election because they didn't put precinct 10. Wrong, yeah. I mean and so precinct 10 is out of wards 3, 4, and 5. So there's a small percentage, and so it's probably the smallest percentage. So I asked the county clerks how many people are in that part. He says, "Oh, we really don't know." I said, "Well, what's it really don't know? High, low, and moderate?" He said, "I think it's very low, but we don't have the same map as the city has."
What do you
And that's the game.
right.
That's the game that they're
Wait a
playing.
minute. What do you mean?
They are using two separate maps. I said
Because
so,
of the old ward and the new ward,
the boundary
and
changes.
they're trying to play the game of, oh no, you're not in that ward. Oh wait, maybe you are, but like,
why isn't precinct 10? And we need to be speaking out about this, because they're disenfranchising voters. That to me is I don't hold everybody's ass to the fire. I don't care about that.
NAACP.
I think it's one thing that
Sorry.
That just came out.
It just came up. I burped.
one thing that really bothers me is there's 8 recalls in Neely. I know that they're all probably going to get denied, but the fact that
You
Dominique,
don't know that.
but I'll tell you after off the camera.
Okay.
Dominique has to vote on those. He's part of the election commission. Him was Deb Cherry and the judge. They have to vote to approve those.
Right.
And for him to do an event with Neely on the same
Well, I thought Neely's in Mexico.
look, why was he on that flyer? So the fact that
Because he likes
Dominique
his
has to
face
vote
be
on his
around.
recall and they're doing campaign events together. How in the fuck does that happen?
Oh, shit. Dominique.
How does that happen? Like, that's a conflict of interest all day long.
Yeah, it sure is.
And then he's got to count the votes if there is a recall against him and he's doing campaign events with him. Like just the visuals of that, whether or not it's
the optics.
the optics of it. Like,
I got
you got to because of this and this, look, I can't do any of that stuff with you. I got to take a step back and be neutral, because he's the county clerk. Like, if you're in that position, you know that you have to stay somewhat neutral because of,
That's their new slogan now. We're better together. Get out to vote.
no. It's power forever because we're together.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
I think yours is the right one, but I'm just saying what
They just won't say that out loud.
We've got a lot of problems, and I think that it's this community. We're so fragmented. One thing I do respect is the four of us colleagues, that I respect their decisions as their thought process, and we don't always agree. But there's a respect at the end of the day that whatever you may feel for or feel, I think we generally line up for what's right for the residents, not lying in our pockets and not having nonprofits and voting to give ourselves money from our own nonprofits, and then having our names on the bank statements and access to the money, because you have to have an EIN number. Liddell Lewis. So
When I first said that on the floor, she didn't deny it.
I
She didn't deny it.
remember she called herself checking me. A point of order. How do you know that it's on? I said, first of all, you have to have your papers, your nonprofit papers, and you have to have your EIN number to open up an account. You are the originator. Go to Laura, LARA, State of Michigan. It will tell you who the originator. You open it up in August 2021. How are you voting to give yourself money and you got access to the bank account? How?
Child, if it ain't one. When you think Flint City Council can't get no worse,
It did last night.
y'all never cease to amaze us. But listen, we got 10 minutes left, 9 minutes. If there wasn't a meeting call within the next couple of days, I don't know if I would go. I don't know if I could tell anybody to go. I don't know if I would feel safe with you going or you going. How do we move forward?
They need to resign, and we need to see some arrest. There needs to be an investigation, because this was you call it staged. This should not be allowed, because it's not just us. Let's take 810 out you and take us. There were residents sitting there.
That was
And I don't know that older lady that was standing back behind me with
She was terrified.
oh, I know. And it's
She was
like, I'm trying to
terrified.
stay in front of them and usher people back to the back staircase, but she's just standing there like she can't run out if
No,
there's something
couldn't.
else. Like, it was truly despicable.
There needs to be, I am going to send a letter to the Department of Justice. Before I missed 2 of my attorney's calls this morning. He had called and he was like, "You always answer your phones." And I didn't go to bed till late and I had cut the ringer so I knew I needed some sleep. He's like, first question, "Are you okay?" I said, I'm good. I said, I'm good. And he said, "Okay."
Are you okay?
No, I'm not.
Are you okay?
I'm good.
I'm not.
I'm not even-
No, because Beverly has a right to run for that seat. She should not be threatened or intimidated. It's tampering with an election, or they trying to say a selection. I'm not all right with it. I'm not all right that her family had to go to the park to defend her, that her daughter had the right to pull out a weapon, and the mayor needs to keep his damn mouth shut because he carries a gun. Don't act like you not the only one, you're the only one who has the right to carry a gun. What if she hadn't? You don't surround somebody, a 65-year-old lady. You don't do that. I'm not okay. I'm not okay that residents were scared. I'm not okay that the senior citizen behind you. I'm not okay. And I'm not going, and Dennis is a man, I'm a woman. And so I process things a lot differently. And as I'm looking out and all these different things that are happening, and you looking at Puddin' and Pie over here, they were happy as can be. And you knew something was going to go on.
How can you sit by her? She sits in the middle.
I pray.
One of them sit in the middle of both
Yeah.
of you.
I ignore her, and then she talks shit every meeting, and I ignore her because for me, I'm not there for her. I'm there for the people. I ignore her, but then she'll get times where she's chatty because that whole I don't know what you call her mental or whatever, it changes. You'll get a happy and I just deal with her neutral, and I'll be like, "Girl, I don't fuck with you."
She's like every other woman though. She got 12 fucking personalities.
I'm not going to allow you to do that. No, where my
I'm with you,
I got
Dennis.
some. I got
I
some
know,
mace
right?
from
I'm with you,
Dennis.
Dennis.
Right.
I was agreeing. I mean, I do, but I've been working on mine.
I'm not
Which
accepting
one?
that.
I got
Which
down
one?
to at least 3.
Oh, okay.
I got 3. 3. Seriously.
But it was dangerous, and it was an embarrassment for elected officials, for city council, for Flint, for the mayor to chime in and say, who he is a gun owner and he carries his gun, that the problem was these metal detectors. They were going to beat somebody's ass. Let's make it clear.
Yeah.
They want to. What's the difference if you use your fist as a weapon or you use a gun?
Especially when there was a dozen.
It was a mob of them.
Yeah.
It was a mob.
It was a
It's
flash.
not okay.
It was a mob organized by the council president.
And
By
she-
Liddell
and she-
Lewis.
She reminds me
Oh,
of that
boy, this-
of the January 6th shit. Like, I
One
didn't
of the
tell you.
pastors of Satan made a comment
Who?
Pastors.
from the Church of Satan. Christopher Martin.
What'd he say?
What'd he
What
say?
he say?
I'll put it up here for you.
What'd he say?
This one.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is great.
Boy, when I tell you we
And
can't
it
get
can't
Lord
get any
and Lord,
worse. It just keeps
can't
going.
get Lord and Lord. When you can't get Lord and Lord,
Well, let's look at his comment because
I'm sure it's 100% in
he's the same
favor.
person who has a tower over there behind the church with some big crosses on it. They say he get 50 a cell tower that he personally gets 5,500 a month from.
the Tower of Babel.
Well, we just said the events that we
Let me show
witnessed
the
at the
people.
city
Hold on,
council
hold on.
meeting.
Put it
I'll
up.
get started for them while you putting it up. The events that we witnessed at city council meeting yesterday were utterly reprehensible. Mayor Sheldon Neely has called for safeguards to be put in place, and yet individuals sued to get their way and then became tied to the altercations. Our council members have been stalked, bullied,
Who's our council member? He lives in fucking Grand Blanc.
harassed, attempted to be recalled, called names, etc. No city council member should have to function in this atmosphere or environment whether we agree with them. Weapons have no place in our public meetings. It is my desire that we all come together in unity. As the city council must face the difficult tasks that lie ahead, as a community, we must disagree, if necessary, with civility and not with violence. As a former citywide elected official in Flint, I am saddened at this type of behavior. Our elected officials must be protected in order to do their jobs. How good and how pleasant is it for brethren to dwell together in unity? Psalms 133:1.
Devil.
Okay, but it's his friends, his church member, that did all the damage and the problem, the gaslighting. Liddell Lewis incited a riot. It was a conspiracy, more than, and Trevor was right when he called in this morning. They conspired to cause harm on her colleagues. She did that. She did nothing, not a damn thing to stop it, her and Candace. They refused to actually enact the ordinance that they supported, and they strengthened it to kick out people in that Flint City Council. They didn't do anything. They had the power in their hands to call 911. They refused. They had the power, as they read so eloquently and at 1,000 words a minute with a disorderly conduct, they refused to enforce it. They wouldn't enforce, they wouldn't enact it. They didn't do a damn thing. Never called. Never called.
And it was all
Orchestrated.
It was all to keep power. It wasn't to
Yep.
help. Like nothing on the agenda and upcoming or anything else has anything to do with helping the residents. This is just to keep power.
And in our last few minutes, speaking of power, y'all got power. Y'all got power too. Is anyone willing to put a motion on the floor, even though the votes may not be there, to get rid of the council president and vice president?
So there's two things. Now, they won't let anything on the agenda.
Mhm.
And any motion that we make, now they're going to want it in writing. So,
What?
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That's what this election is important. This
Vote
election
in the first ward like your life depends on it, because it may, if
does.
you ever go to a city council meeting.
It's a motion.
I'll be telling you.
Damn.
We're telling you.
Because people want to see that we are serious about changing this
What do they
shit.
say? Power, or what do they say? Power is absolute, and absolute like corrupts absolutely. Whatever that saying is. I'm not good at sayings. I fuck up those up, obviously. But it's all to gain power. They don't give any shits about anything.
Mm-mm. They want absolute control and power.
Just like they wouldn't let her talk about the water. Like
They voted, well, that night, that one too. But remember, they passed all those resolutions and did no call for the question all night long.
Mhm.
And that's when, because I had spoken with Kenneth Miller, the DPW manager, and he needed to update us on 27 items. They didn't want to talk about it. So voting, we have got to vote.
Absolute
You got
power
to
corrupts
vote.
absolutely.
You got
Thank
to
you,
vote.
Trevor.
And if in those who didn't speak out, you need to get them out of office. Leon didn't speak out. Liddell ain't hers. You know, we need to put somebody in that third ward seat. Hey, Beverly Biggs literally put her life on the line. I'm sorry, you can't do any more than that. You know, we have got to vote. What you said is like our lives,
Like your lives depend on it.
because
Insurrection number 2 might be next
Right.
week. Who knows?
right.
True. That's very true. That's very
Well,
true.
Liddell found some people to do her dirty work, and they are going to pay the cost for it. And that's sad. You know, she has gaslit them and gassed them up with lies. You know, we didn't all agree, but we all get into arguments
We do.
generally. That's just what happens.
We do.
But you don't allow it to go to this point. You don't. I remember there was another time Quincy's family did come, and they had, when we were facing, it was to the left, and he got up out of his seat and went and told them, "Don't do this," and he sent them home. And it's on one of the videos. I remember it was before the council chambers was remodeled, and he asked them to go home, and he actually spoke about it. He's like, "I don't want my family down there." I don't remember what was the
He
issue.
did say that. He said
Yeah.
that.
And I don't remember who the issue was, but they were coming down there. He was like, "I can handle myself." And I think it was him and Mays were getting into it. Him and Mays were, I mean, that was always a, you know, but we're not at that point. You know, this didn't help anything. But what it showed us was who Liddell and Candace was.
Expose them even more.
Exposed them.
Yeah.
And Mayor Neely had no business saying, you know, when you are a gun owner and you carry it into your meetings, you know, why should the residents, you know, not be able to protect themselves? I mean, what if we were told we couldn't, and then we had a mob come in there
With one officer.
but
that
one officer?
disappears for whatever at a time.
Yeah.
Right. That was so strange last night with
with the officers there. It was strange.
It was crazy.
All right. Well,
All right, I got a card stop, so I gotta.
Okay. Any last words, Mick?
No, ma'am.
All right. Well, we will see you all back here in the morning at 9 a.m. Thank you very much.
Someone said motion to investigate. Absolutely.
Peace.